Good afternoon. I hereby call this agenda review of Nacogdoches ISD Board of Trustees to order. Let the record show that the quorum is present and a notice of this meeting was posted as required by the Texas Open Meeting Act. Reverend James Irvin was unable to attend this meeting today. Today, all items on the agenda are for discussions only. No voting will take place at this meeting. Thank you for joining us, and I ask to please turn your phones to the silent mode. At this time, we have a public comment, and we do not receive any interest for addressing the board. However, if anyone would like to comment at the future meetings, instruction on how to sign up are on the meeting's posting. We move on to the consent agenda. This portion of meeting, we discuss items from the discussion agenda. No action will take place at this meeting. Starting with board meeting minutes. Anybody has any comment or questions? If not, we move to business office report. Ms. Lisa Barbary.
Good afternoon. President Naramon, board members, Dr. Trujillo. I'd like to begin with our budget amendments, and they can be found on page 19. So the first budget amendment is a continuation of pulling from fund balance for Band Hall reconstruction after flooding. This is continuing the project from last year to this year, $48,593. Item B is pull funds from fund balance for the purchase of John Deere gators ordered in prior year, but they are still on back order. So we're moving it up to this year, $17,512. Item C, move funds from instruction to school leadership to pay for office copy machine lease for $1,500. I believe this is for TJR. Item D, move funds from curriculum development to instruction and instructional leaderships to pay for Region 7 DMAC services. So we're moving between functions 21, and we're increasing 21 and 11 and decreasing 13 for a total of $30,321. And this is for a Region 7 contract that we get into every year. Item E, pull funds from fund balance to pay for repairs to police vehicle. Vehicle was damaged in prior year, and insurance payout was received in prior year, while repairs were done in current year. And that is for $2,052. Item F, budget donations for convocation. And we received $2,000, so we're increasing our revenue as well as our expense. Item G, pull funds from fund balance to pay for 10 promotions, addition of a new position, and 4 additional raises that were given after the budget was adopted. And this is totaling $245,288. Item H, pull funds from fund balance for yearly replacement of 6 vehicles, 2 for the police department, maintenance, warehouse, grounds, and special education. And these vehicles range from 12 years old to 25 years old. So the yearly amount we pull is $280,000. Item I, transfer funds from transportation to maintenance due to a higher need in the maintenance department. And this is for vehicle replacement. So last month I took you the vehicles that we were using prior year money, and a portion of that was for transportation, but maintenance has older vehicles, so I'm moving it from transportation to maintenance, $58,648. Any questions on the budget amendments? No? Okay. Next, we will move to donations under $2,500. So our convocation donations, $2,000 from Nikki Evans Wallace, State Farm, $2,000 from Serve Pro, $2,000 from Purdue Brandon Fielder Collins and Mott LLP, and $500 for Zero Graphics East Texas, and those were all for convocation. The high school received $1,000 for Fish Camp from East Texas Texas LLC, and $1,300 from cosmetology from Nacogdoches JCs. And finally, Mike Moses received $1,503.65 for Mike Moses from Fredonia Elementary PTA. Any questions on donations?
No, ma'am. However, we thank for those people who made those commitments.
Yes. Next, I'd like to move on to our investment report, which begins on page 28. And what I want to highlight in our investment reports is our earnings for the month between all investments was $215,664.71. Any questions on our investments?
No, ma'am. I don't. Anyone has any question?
All right, and then I will entertain any other questions you have on the rest of my reports, if you have any.
Board, any questions? Comments? Okay, thank you, Miss. Okay, well, moving on to A to Z, presented Dr. Corley.
Good afternoon, President Nerman, Board of Trustees, and Superintendent Trujillo. I'm presenting Learning A to Z this afternoon. It's an annual renewal that's requested by campuses and departments. It has a blended platform that includes both English and Spanish. It combines student-led teacher-led and independent learning opportunities. The instructional resource includes mentor text, pair text, activities that supports vocabulary and building background knowledge with our students, as well as grammar support. We ask that the board approve this renewal for this purchase for $31,239, which will be split funded between the campuses and the departments that requested by using Title I funds.
Did all the campuses request this?
Yes, ma'am. We analyzed our data usage reports from previous years, and all of our teacher teams and administrators use this resource.
Okay, any question? Thank you, ma'am. Now we'll go to Tipton for Ms. Lisa.
Afternoon again. So, as I mentioned earlier with our budget amendments for vehicles, so we are ready to move on purchasing of 3 vehicles. These 3 are for plant services, and the purchase will be coming from Tipton Ford, and the total will be $183,259.39. Any questions?
No, ma'am.
Are any of those in stock, or those are all we have to wait on?
We have to wait. I believe we have to wait, yes.
Okay, on my list, I have safety met. Mr. Tarvin.
Good afternoon, President Nerman,
Yes.
board members, Dr. Trujillo. I'm coming to you today to talk to you all about our external defibrillators, automated external defibrillators. They're crucial life-saving devices used in emergencies to restore normal heart rhythm in cases of sudden cardiac arrest. What we have found is that many of our current AEDs, the batteries are expired, and they are no longer making those batteries. We cannot find them at all.
No surprise.
So we're coming to you today to ask to purchase some additional AEDs to replace those, as well as additional to go into different buildings and things of that nature. The total purchase price will be $49,242.
Wasn't there any maintenance done on those defibrillators? I mean, wasn't there somebody responsible for making sure they were maintained and batteries were replaced and things like that?
Yes, we do. The problem was that last year we were able to purchase them. We did not realize that the batteries were going to be discontinued whatsoever.
Well, I strongly support this because this is life. And with all these sudden deaths going around, we need to have the defibrillators and people that know how to use them strategically placed in every building. And I think this is a good job. So thank you it's time, sometimes the batteries do it, but sometimes we just need to replace stuff that's really important. And either way, it's really important. So.
I do agree, sir, as well. However, if we have a building, two-story building, are we going to furnish for both levels, correct?
Yes, sir.
Good.
I will tell you, we're adding out to even the ag building. I mean, we're going to make sure that every single building is covered.
That is absolutely great, and I'm certain that we have one in every gym, and also with the athletic programs that carries with them on the travels.
Yes, sir.
These are very necessary. That's great.
I just want to clarify, I wasn't criticizing, I just wanted to know if there had been maintenance stuff done. I'm aware that they're very important for us, but
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure what the problem was, why we have to get new ones.
I'm sorry, I missed the
Why
last
we
part.
have to get new ones, that's what I was just, I mean, that's my question.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Let me address that, President Ehrman, and to the board. Technologies, and this is something, unfortunately, we're going to see it all over the place now that we're dealing with lithium, long-lasting batteries. A lot of times now, we're dealing with something as easy as a smoke detector. Unfortunately, things are becoming much more disposable. We're living in an environment that the technology, it's much more effective to replace the whole tool than it is to buy a battery, and we've experienced it, something as simple as a printer. Sometimes you can go buy a printer cheaper than you can buy the cartridge that for the Inkridge. So that's a very good question that's being asked, and I'm fairly certain that this company used up all of their inventory, and then once they were done with their inventory, then they shifted to the new technology, which means they're not going to use the same tools. And as our president said under his breath, as you were presenting, no surprise. So the unfortunate thing is, because of the technology, the wonderful thing, though, is, and I hope I'm not misspeaking with this, but the wonderful thing with lithium batteries, they'll last longer, but that's one of the things that, Mr. Matoya, I did make sure that we have is, we don't need any surprises. We go get an AED, and the AED is dead as far as no power. We need to be right on top of it to make sure that whatever safety we're providing, we have it ready to be used and accessible. But it's a great question.
So is this the same company we got them from?
Yes, ma'am.
So can they take their things back that we can't use that they sold them? Can we?
There's actually a trade-in program.
Okay.
I just do not have enough information to even talk about that, but there is a
Okay.
trade-in program on this.
Okay.
Good question.
I try to just speak with my face. Good with my words. Okay.
Any more comments or questions?
No.
Okay, we're going to item D on my list, which is teaching of the Constitution as required by federal law. Dr. Hill.
Thank you, President Nuremon, board members, Dr. Trujillo. This is an annual approval. It's for any school district that receives federal funds. So for this school year, the 23-24, it falls on September the 18th, which is a Monday, so that's the day that we will designate to teach the Constitution.
Great. And just curiosity, who is going to be teaching that?
I believe it's the social studies teachers.
Social
It's
studies
typically where it falls, yes, sir.
And if a student is not taking social studies at the time, what happens?
You know, I don't know that anybody wouldn't be unless they were in economics in their senior year, right? They would be, would have economics first semester and then government second semester. I think those are the only ones, Coach Nuremon or President Nuremon, that I can think of that might not be taking a history course.
No, I don't think so.
But they've had it for years.
Yeah, that is true.
Would have had it the prior
That is
year.
true.
Okay, thank you.
Of course.
Okay, next is a consideration of 2023-2024 District Improvement Plan.
Sure. Thank you, President Nuremon, once again. Again, this is an annual approval. However, the plan has changed a little bit from last year. We still have 4 goals. I won't read them to you necessarily, but I will direct your attention to, and this begins on page 61 of your board book. So we'll notice on Goal 1, provide high-quality curriculum assessments, resources, and effective instruction. This year, we have a total of 4 performance objectives. The first one, and the first 2 actually have to do with STAR scores. First one is all grade levels, all subjects. The second one, we break it down specifically to reading and mathematics. The third one has to do with career, college, military readiness, which is specifically at our 2 high schools. And then the last one has to do with special education students, that they receive all of their accommodations and things as outlined by their individual education plans. As we move on to Goal 2, provide a positive school culture for learning, working, and community engagement. We have 5 performance objectives. Last year, we only had, I believe it was 3. This year, we've added 2. There were just some strategies that we had in our district improvement plan last year, for example, that related to nurses, social workers, things of that nature, and we just found a performance objective to nestle it under, but this year we found it to be more pertinent to create its own performance objective. So for example, you have performance objective number 2, which is brand new, provide all students with a quality education that includes supports targeting mental, social, physical, and emotional wellness. So that's where a lot of areas under Mr. Tarvin's purview will fit in. And then performance objective 4, all campuses will provide facilities in compliance with district policy to ensure student and staff health safety. That has to do with our mitigation factors related to COVID and our ESSER funding and our requirement, just in case, it's the, we call it the RIPIX plan. It's our return to in-person school that we had to create several years ago when COVID was no longer a pandemic, but, we had to create a plan. So we have to keep that active just in case, fingers crossed that we don't have to ever go back to home learning again. So those are 2 regarding Goal 2. Goal 3, provide effective and efficient operations, including well-supported staff. We have the same performance objective, mainly pertains to our Human Resources Department, where we want to achieve 100% certified and effective teaching staff. And then lastly, Goal 4, provide organizational improvement, strong leadership, and effective planning. We have the 1 performance objective. All campuses will evaluate existing systems. This was one that we're giving a lot of credence to as we go through this next year, especially coming off of our curriculum audit that we had a couple of years ago. That was one of the things that they recommended is that we create a performance-based budget, meaning that we're looking at all of our expenditures and making sure that it is yielding the results that we want, especially those where we can draw a direct correlation between it or its expenditure as well as student performance.
Okay. Folks, you have any questions?
I don't have a question, but I have a comment.
Okay.
Basketball was played, everything was 2 points when I was playing, so now you have 3-pointers. But what if we change the rules like they changed on the STAR test? Now, you're going to get 3 points for a 2-pointer, but you're going to get 2 points for a 3-pointer. And so we have a confusion in our baseline in this new way that they're rolling out the STAR that's this year. So basically, we're starting with a new baseline. Our statistics from before are not going to apply. We're going to have a new baseline
Correct.
with this. So I don't know if you want to talk about 3s and 2s, but we can talk about a baseline. So I'm not making excuses for people listening and people who are listening in the future, but I'm explaining that things have changed and we got apples and oranges. You can do it that way. But sometimes people hear that so often, they don't really comprehend. It's totally different. So what's the key word here? Improvement. And,
Of course.
And it's not just objective, but with the data that we can utilize, not comparing backwards, but with where we're at and where we move forward. So I think that's an important thing, and probably Dr. Trujillo can better explain this or have more to say about this if he chooses.
Sure, well, he did a great report, I guess it was last month,
Yeah, we talked about
regarding the changes, and you're exactly correct, apples to oranges. And then in the September meeting, once all the scores have been sent out to all of us, you'll have another lengthy report next month to show you our results. So we look forward to that.
And I think I say this every year, so bear with me, but, these percentages of hitting grade level, that's just something we've got to do. But no teacher is sitting there going, oh, I got to get 34%.
Agreed.
It is 100%. And grade level, that's just minimum. And so that is the true goal. And this percentage business is just so that we back up and go, wait a minute, we have such and such and such who aren't even on grade level, so that we can then address what is needed to get them up to that. But no one has that percentage in mind, It's
Well, I
100%.
guess most of you probably know how I think about percentages. What's the-
Manipulated, yeah.
President Neerman, one
Yes.
thing I would like to add is for the community to be aware, because this is something that's happening specifically down in the South Texas area, and there's several districts that are looking at this. And to your analogy of basketball, to a kid who's never played basketball at all, and the game has started, the buzzer sounded, you're in uniforms, and the game has started, and you're dribbling up and down the court, you should know the rules of the game. And unfortunately, we don't know the rules of the game, and school starts on Wednesday. And so if you go towards the assessment, which is going to happen, and by the way, so folks understand why the change is there, we are obligated by legislation that every 5 years, the tool is reevaluated. And with that being said, it's changed. And it did change, and it has changed. However, to my personal frustration with this and with other superintendents across the state, it is frustrating when you don't have the rules to the game. So there's a conversation being had with regards to not knowing the rules to the tool that's being used. I don't want to hyper-focus on this because it's just a tool, but our classrooms understand this. We do not measure success by one assessment done at the end of the year. We'll do that because the state is asking us to do this. We measure throughout the year the growth that the kids are having and how we're obtaining that. Because if we waited till the end of the year, we would be surprised. And we want no surprises, so this is why we're going to focus on that. But to the point right now is we're waiting. The rules will be released early part of September, when most schools are already in session. Unfortunately, the rule of the game is, by legislation, is that we would know the rules before school started. We're breaking the rule already before we get started, because we don't know the rules until we get started. So, as soon as we find that out, we're going to get it out there in public. Everybody will see it. You'll be able to visit the portal. There's a lot of information that's out there. The cut score is what's been adjusted, and so we have to adjust to the cut score to see wherever that is. But like Board Member Leah Beth Apt has just mentioned, is our teachers are not looking at a percentage. They're looking for all kids. Every kid has growth that's there, and I appreciate the state that has moved to a growth mindset, so we can actually look at growth and just achievement as being the only measure. So that's my additional tidbit when it comes to the rules to the game, is that the rules to the game will come very soon for us. So.
Okay. Next, we move to 2023-2024 NISD Professional Development Plan. Dr. Curley.
Hello again. I'm here to speak to compliance and approval for Senate Bill 1267, which requires an annual review of our professional development that's aligned to the clearinghouse expectations. I think in your board book, if I'm not mistaken, you're going to have 3 different documents. The first one being the clearinghouse document that lists what all the school districts need to train in for complete compliance. And then secondly, you should have a list of trainings that were just completed by various departments in the past 2 weeks. So you'll see those started on August 1st, and everyone has been boots on the ground, very busy, and interacted with our teacher teams. And then finally, you also have a hard copy of a spreadsheet that's on an 11 by 17 paper, and it has a purple flag on it. This shows specifically the requirements that align to the clearinghouse document that was a collaborative effort between many departments, including human resources, safety and security, student support services, technology, teaching and learning. Even our athletic department had a few compliance trainings listed, as well as our PEMS department. And so on our sheet of paper there, you can see that we have strategically and intentionally outlined when those trainings will take place, and they have been calendared, and this will be communicated with all of our administrative teams after we seek approval on Thursday.
Okay?
This is just curious, because this kind of, what professional development is required, kind of gives you an indication of the world in which we live. So I was just curious, is there anything new that they're requiring
There was
from
not a-
last year?
No, ma'am,
Okay.
there was not a difference in the clearinghouse
Okay.
document expectations from,
Okay.
as compared to last year to this year. No, ma'am.
Okay, good. That was hard enough last year, so good.
I wanted to say that this is a beautiful presentation, and as well as what's in our board book. And that takes a long time to get that organized so we can better understand it. What this really shows me is that, and maybe for other people to understand, our teachers have been at school taking classes. They're basically been sitting in classes, learning, so they can do their job better. So they haven't just been up here with coffee breaks and stuff. They have been working, and somebody has been working teaching them. So we appreciate all that, because the result is when we invest in our teachers, they invest and grow our students. So I thank you so much for what y'all are doing.
Thank you, sir. And thank you, ma'am. Okay, next we go to item G, is a T-test appraisers of the calendar of the 2023-2024 school year. Mr. Harold Whitaker.
Good afternoon, President Neermon, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Dr. Trujillo. This is the annual approval of the T-test appraisers, list of appraisers that are district-wide and by campus, as well as the calendar for appraisals for the 23-24 school year. So as you can see there, the list of appraisers are by campus and also district office. And there shouldn't be any changes. There aren't any changes from last year regarding the appraisal calendar, other than the updated dates to reflect the current school year.
Okay. And there is a possibility new people become,
That is correct. Yes, sir. We have a few people that will be coming to you again in October that I will be presenting to you for approval.
great. Any question, folks?
President Neermond and
Yes, sir.
Board, just a side note, this is a very important tool that aligns itself to our other areas of academics in the elementary and secondary, because we are looking at making sure that we calibrate how our administrators are evaluating.
Yes.
And it's nothing worse than you having 3 administrators on a campus, and one evaluates, it's almost like going to mom. You want mom to take care of it, not dad, because dad may be tougher, or you might go to dad because dad is tougher. So when you calibrate with this, that's what T-test helps us do, and we're going to be a little more diligent in our evaluation of success and how we evaluate that, because there's nothing more unfair than a teacher being assigned a specific administrator that scores a certain way and another administrator scores another way. So it's a tremendous tool to align not just what HR is doing, but also with our academics. So I wanted to highlight that for our board and for our community.
Good, any question? Ms. App, do you have any comments? Okay. We have gone through those before. Okay. Now, Mr. Martin, second reading of TASB Update 121.
Thank you, President Nerman, members of the board, Superintendent Trujillo. The board recalls last month you had a first reading of the TASB revised policies for Policy Update 121. This would be the second reading, and the administration would be happy to answer any questions the board has on any of the policies listed in here.
Vote. No, Ms. App? You don't have any? Okay. I guess we have to read it one more time.
Thanks, sir.
Okay, thank you. Now, item I is resolution to designate non-business school days for purpose of Texas Public Information Act. Mr. Lees?
Good afternoon, President Nerman, board members, Dr. Trujillo. Currently, existing law allows school districts to exclude holidays and breaks, such as Christmas break, spring break, from our list of business days when, for the purpose of calculating response time to the Public Information Act request. In other words, previously, say the Friday before we get out for Christmas break, that's the last business day until we would return in January after New Year's Day. Beginning September 1st, that all changes. Senate Bill 618, adopted during the recently completed Texas legislative session, requires governmental agencies, including school districts, to designate their own 10 non-business days for purposes of the Texas Public Information Act, and that is what this resolution would do. The new law allows school districts to still take advantage, obviously, of weekends, Saturdays and Sundays, and then state and federal holidays as well. And then above and beyond that, we designate 10 more days that would not be considered business days and would be considered non-business days. The problem it could cause is we're out for 10 days at Christmas break, so we could eat up the whole amount of non-business days we could designate. So with the help of our school district's attorney, we've come up with a plan here to kind of spread those days out to make sure that we're still responsive to public requests for information, but also to keep me from having to call Harold or Dr. Hill or Michael during a Christmas break and say, hey, I need you to meet me up at the administration building. And the dates before you there, which includes national and state holidays, and the board designated non-business days, should keep us from having to do that.
Very good. These dates will change from year to year to match our schedule.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Any questions? No? Thank you, Les. Now, we go to consider rescheduling future agenda review and regular board meeting. Dr. Trujillo.
President Nerman and board, changes in a meeting date is a process that requires careful communication to ensure that all participants and the community are informed well in advance. And the following meeting dates that are being reconsidered. Due to a conflict in my schedule, and I really want to be here for our board meetings, is on October, the October being rescheduled. The agenda review would be on Monday, October 23rd. The regular meeting would be on Thursday, the 26th. Then we went through and we did the District of Innovation. We made some adjustments with our calendars, and with that, we need to align ourselves so that we know that we're here and we're available. Due to winter holiday break, the December meeting needs to be rescheduled. The new agenda review date being presented would be on Friday, December the 15th, and the regular meeting would occur on Tuesday, December the 19th. Understand that that is a change of date, so that we're mindful it's not a regular Thursday meeting. That would be a Tuesday meeting. Due to staff not returning from winter break until the second week in January, hooray, 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 the teachers are excited about that, we need to reevaluate the January 2024. Boy, that sounds, we're there already. 2024 needs to be rescheduled. The agenda date would be January the 22nd, and the regular meeting would occur on Thursday, January the 25th. And then finally, due to spring break and the adjustment that's there, the March 24th meeting would need to be rescheduled. The agenda review would be on March the 25th. And so the purpose is to reschedule the October 2023, December 2023, January 2024, and the March 2024 dates as recommended.
Okay.
That's all I have.
That information is going to be mailed to Ms. Hardy, would be distribute those informations. Okay. Thank you, sir. Okay. At this time, we have discussion action agenda. We have 2 items on the discussion agenda portion. Was consideration and resolution against vouchers. Presenter would be Dr. Trujillo.
Yes, as we had the conversation at the conclusion of the last board meeting, Reverend Irving had requested, and the board concurred that we come up with a resolution to speak on behalf of where our stance are. And we were very fortunate to have our very own Representative Clardy come in and speak on the actions of the legislative work to our staff during convocation. And we've arrived with a resolution that we would present for the board and read to them on Thursday evening.
Okay. Thank you, sir. And now we have consideration of resolution concerning compliance with the public safety and security requirements. Mr. Tarvin.
Good afternoon again. As you all know, there's been a lot of legislation come through this year regarding school safety. So the 88th legislature passed House Bill 3, which included a mandate to have armed security at each campus in the district. Currently, due to the lack of available personnel, that creates an issue for us. We just do not have enough police officers to make this mandate at this time. The legislation, House Bill 3, does give the authority to the board to do what they call a good cause exemption if it's due to funding or personnel issues. And then also says the board comes up with an alternative plan to make this mandate. So we're coming to you today with a good cause exemption, asking you all to consider a good cause exemption, and this gives us some time to come up with a alternative plan to fix this.
Can you just issue a little bit of why you're having a difficult time finding officers that want to come work here at NISD?
Let me take this question right quick. Number one, this document is not going to be only Nacogdoches.
Oh, okay.
Every school district in the state of Texas has to provide this document to its board, and more importantly, to its community, to let you know what is our plan. What is it that we are going to do? Remember, legislation said we would have an armed individual that would be on campus. With that being said, we have to communicate which direction, as a collective board, we're going to proceed. There's guardians, there's marshals, there's law enforcement, there's contracted services that are out there. Based on this board and the direction that we have is we want to make sure that we have police officers, we invest in the police department, and with that, we find the officers that are out there. Unfortunately, you can see this struggle is not just in Nacogdoches. You have, when you have over 1,000 schools in a given area, you're not going to find that many officers, and they're going to be a very scarce resource. In our community, we have law enforcement that is at Stephen F. Austin. We have law enforcement with the county. We have city police officers that are here. We also have state officers in the region. And then, of course, we have our very own police department that's here. Trust me, our chief is doing a great job. She's back there in the back. She's pounding the pavement, trying to find applicants that are out there. And we found one more that she's bringing on. We're excited to bring in, but we want to make sure that we're communicating to the state with this document that we're going to select the route of police officers, and we're going to do our very best in advertising and recruitment and location of officers. Unfortunately, this situation, when you pull one officer, you have to realize what vacancy are they leaving, because they may be coming from another municipality, they may be coming from another community resource that's out there. So it's, all you're doing with this, and for lack of a better word, sometimes, if we're not piping out and training more officers, we're robbing Peter to pay Paul. And so we've got to be very careful, because our chief has to have a good relationship with the city police department, with our judges in the county, and with the university. So we want to make sure that we work with this. So this is unfortunately a nationwide problem when it comes to law enforcement, based on the ruling that they've said that we have to have an armed individual. This board, as we proceed, we may have to evaluate other things. Do we really want to maybe go down the Guardian route, or do we need to go down the Marshal route, or do we go with contracted services out there where we can actually provide an officer at every site? This gives us some time for us to continue to lean forward, and time for our chief to really align themselves to what this board wants to do. I hope that answers the question, Mr. Montoya, with why it is the way it is, and it's not just us doing this.
Well, I never thought about the fact that you were saying that robbing Peter to pay Paul, but, you know, because I know there's a lot of officers in the area that I've talked to that would be interested in coming to NAC, but they don't want to leave the place because they feel like they can train them if they do that, and that's unfortunate.
I think as, excuse me, Dr. Trujillo said, there's a shortage of law enforcement almost nationwide.
Yeah.
Okay?
I wanted to say something. When I started, we had 3 officers for the whole district, and now we're up to 8, plus the K-9 officer, Pablo, right? Are we close to that? And when we get something mandated by the state, it's not funded. So we have to make adjustments in our finances, because we already made a budget, and now they're saying you've got to change your budget to put this in there. So we're not saying it's for the budget. We're saying because it's a lack of personnel. But this is, I think what's really important is there's transparency with the public to understand we are improving. Safety is very important, and we have a specific person that's handling that under Dr. Trujillo's leadership. And we will be safe, and we will be good stewards of our finances and our time. And as time permits and personnel are found, we will meet this mandate for safety for our students.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Okay. The board will now conduct an executive closed session to discuss the items posted on our agenda pursuant to the following provisions of the Texas Open Meeting Act as allowed by Texas Government Code Sections 551.071, 551.072, 551.074, 551.076, 551.089, and 551.129. No voting will take place in the closed meeting. Any action the board wishes to take as the result of discussions in the closed meeting will take place after the board reconvenes in open session. It is now time, I want to say, is 12:43. What time should you think we will be back?
We should be out of there by, what is it, I'd say 1:30.
No earlier, 1:30. Thank you. The board is now reconvening into open session, and the time is 1:42. Okay? Should I talk about it now? Ms. Anderson, the two resolution that we had goes on the consent agenda. Thank you. Okay. We all reconvene, and at this time, anyone has any idea what comments or anything you want to put on the agenda? If not, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
I second.
Okay, we adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. No opposition. Have a good afternoon, everyone.